What's up, everyone? I'm back with another DVD review, and this time it's on one of my favorite DVDs from 2009. We're going to continue on with this trail of great DVDs by reviewing Binoo's Birthday. So let's start with the history of the release. Binoo's Birthday was first released on DVD on November 10th, 2009 by Treehouse Kaboom and Phase 4 Films. This is one of those that again didn't get a lot of recognition. However, when it did get recognition, it got, just one time, it got a good kind of it. Around 2014, a 6 DVD box set was released. Named The Wonderful World of Toopy and Binoo, it was released in 2014 by Kaboom, Echo Media, Nelvana, Phase 4 Films, and Treehouse. And not only did it include Binoo's Birthday, but it also included Rockabye Bear, Bedtime Story, The Best of Toopy and Binoo, Funny Bunny, and Binoo the Brave. Pretty cool. That wraps up the history. Now on to our episodes on the release. So, on this release, Binoo's Birthday contains 12 episodes. Binoo's Birthday, Sparkle Binoo, Pet Palace, Binoo's Letter, Toopy's Surprise, The Lost Bear, Where's Binoo, Invisible World, Eggheads, Toopy's Present, Magic Woosher, and Super Ball. So let's begin with our first episode, Binoo's Birthday. It's Binoo's birthday, and Toopy is planning a surprise party for him. However, he has to keep the secret until they get back when the party is ready. This is a great way to start off a DVD. It's an amazing episode that focuses on Toopy and Binoo and takes a look at their night side again. The fact that they also got another episode with this element is pretty cool. But what's even better about it is that this actually uses the birthday element in a very good way. And I really like how Toopy kept Binoo busy throughout this entire episode. Overall, I'd say that Binoo's Birthday is a great episode and is one of my favorites. 10 out of 10. Our second episode is Sparkle Binoo. It's Valentine's Day, and Toopy has made Binoo a card for the occasion. However, he goes overboard with the arts and crafts sparkles, and he ends up giving Binoo the ability to fly. This one is a pretty good one. If you guys remember from my Charmy Hearts Day review, Valentine's Day is not one of my favorite holidays, but its episodes themed to the day are pretty cool. I do like how Binoo has got the ability to fly and made hearts out of literally red items. I mean, roses, apples, umbrellas, fire engines, and lollipops. The last one of which is my favorite. What I also like about it is that it actually doesn't say that they're heart shapes until the end of the story. Overall, I'd say that this Valentine's Day episode is a pretty amazing one. 10 out of 10. Next up we have Pet Palace. Toopy opens a pet shop in the house and sells a lot of pets to Binoo. However, he loses interest of them right after he gets all 5, and they end up disappearing when Binoo chooses Patchy Patch and Toopy over pets. This episode is not a very interesting one to me. I can't get on with the whole pet idea. I'm not saying I hate it, because I really don't, but it's not one of my favorites. I do like the idea of having pets in an episode, but they barely do anything with them. And it was just a waste to create them in the first place to start off with. However, the bittersweet ending is pretty good, and overall as a story, it's not entirely terrible, but it's not a favorite of mine, and it's pretty average for what it is. I do like the episode, but the one-time pets make this a pretty bad episode. 6 out of 10. Our next episode is Binoo's letter. Tupi accidentally sends a letter through the mailbox that Binoo was given to him, which in turn sends them on a mail-filled journey around the world. This episode is the prime example of a great Tupi and Binoo episode. The mail concept is one that we don't see, and it's very cool that they managed to use their creative freedom to make it a very interesting episode. The fact that they also implement the idea of letters flying all around the world is amazing. While some wouldn't consider this a favorite, it's a pretty cool episode, and one that I keep watching over and over again and keep going back to. So in conclusion, while people wouldn't choose this as a favorite all the time, I think it's a pretty cool episode. Overall, Binoo's letter is a great delivers greatly. 10 out of 10. Next up, we have Tupi's surprise. Binoo is planning a surprise for Tupi, but Tupi can't see it because Binoo is working on it. Meanwhile, Tupi keeps himself busy until Binoo has the surprise ready. This episode is a pretty good Tupi episode for what it is. It doesn't really focus on Binoo that much, but it's for good reason. Binoo is busy throughout this entire episode preparing Tupi's surprise, and they jump back to Binoo when time progresses. Pretty good. Tupi manages to keep himself busy throughout this entire episode, despite the short amounts of time that he's away from Binoo. Pretty good. But what really makes me like this episode is the ending with the stone statue. That is brilliant. Full props to Binoo. Oh, in conclusion, I'd say that Tupi's surprise hits home and is a pretty rocking episode. I had to make those jokes to end off my look at this episode. 10 out of 10. Next up, we have The Lost Bear. Binoo loses his bear, and Tupi and Binoo end up in a amusement park to look for it. They end up looking everywhere until they have to win him in a prize game. This episode is a very fun one. It's a big favorite, true, but what really gets me excited with this story is how they manage to implement it. This episode is a pretty rockin' episode, starting off with a roller coaster, then they go through a carousel, bumper cars, and end off with a party game. What makes it even better is the ending, where where Binoo wins the bear in the end. However, I wish they would have done more with Binoo's bear after this. But in conclusion, I'd say that The Lost Bear has found itself a place in the favorites zone. 10 out of 10. Up next, where's Binoo? Binoo is off reading a book, but Tupi wants him to see his connect the dots drawn. So Tupi searches through a big amount of books to search for Binoo until he finds him in one of them. This episode is a pretty amazing one. It's right up there in the top 10 episodes for me. And what makes it unique is that it's a Binoo-titled episode, but it focuses on Tupi. And what makes it even better is that Binoo shows up in a few sections, which is pretty good, but it also gives us more time to focus on Tupi's section of the story. Tupi traveling through various books is pretty cool, And I will admit, this is something we would never see again. I really think, which makes this episode all the more amazing. But overall, I will say that Where's Binoo is a pretty cool episode. That it is up in the top 10 and is a surefire winner and the best of the release. 10 out of 10. Next up, we have Invisible World. Tupi and Binoo make their house invisible due to Tupi's towel tricks. They explore their house for a little bit until they realize that they can't stay in an invisible house with so many things to bump into. This episode is odd. Very odd. And how odd? So odd, there's nothing to talk about. It's in the title. But honestly, if I had it my way, I'd change it to Invisible House, not Invisible World. The world's not invisible, the house is. The open-ended ending is a bit shady too, because Tupi thinks Binoo's invisible when he really isn't, but honestly, the occasional joke of bumping into things is pretty cool, and everything is now invisible in the outside world, so full props. Overall, I'd say that Invisible World gives me nothing to complain about and is a pretty good episode, in my opinion. 8 out of 10. Next up, we have Eggheads. Tupi and Binoo find themselves in a nest watching over an egg that houses a rabbit. They watch over it until it's ready to hatch, and the rabbit with wings flies off. I don't really like this episode, and it's just too weird, and I don't find it as a big favorite compared to other episodes on the release, and outside of it either. I don't really get I do like the idea they were going for, but in the end, it just falls on its face, and I don't really enjoy it. And I don't really get how it's a bird's nest and a bird's egg with a bunny inside. That's just odd. So, in conclusion, I'd say that this episode is not really worth my time and is not really a big favorite. 6.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Tupi's Present. With no water wings to go swimming in, Tupi plants a tree. It plans to make Christmas in summer for Binoo to get the water wings he wants. This episode combines the best of both worlds. The summer fun and the Christmas element. I really like how they managed to mix the two together. And the fact that they did it in a 4-minute, 30-second runtime is amazing. These Christmas episodes are amazing, and I'm really f***ing impressed, to say the most. The one thing that I do have to complain about is how this episode is the only Christmas in summer one. And the bittersweet ending with winter on one half and summer on the other is pretty cool. I mean, if that was in real life, I'd certainly live with that. But overall, Tupi's Present is a gifted episode and is a top favorite of mine. 10 out of 10. Next up, Magic Woosher. Tupi creates a magic Woosher when cereal spills on the floor, but in doing so, he sends the machine on a rampage, almost destroying the world. This episode is an odd one to me. First off, our villain, Magic Woosher, is a big one-hit wonder villain who would then later get his several villain defeats videos later down the line. But most of the time, the main main focus of the episode is him sucking things up until Tupi and Binoo can destroy it. What I also get a kick out of is how Magic Woosher manages to destroy himself due to his own eating habits. In conclusion, I'd say that Magic Woosher is an episode that sucks in a good way. 8 out of 10. And finally, our last episode, Super Ball. Tupi sends his ball into Binoo's book, and he ends up chasing after it, turning it into a super chase after a super ball. It is a good episode to close out the release, but to me, I still don't find it as a favorite compared to the other episodes. Not a bad one, but questionable to me. I do like the idea of a book, of this type of book being implemented into an episode, but the way it's presented is just crazy. I do like the episode, and I can sit through it, but it's not one I totally rave over. And Tupi's ball is a one-hit wonder, and that's one thing I'm bugged by. But however, the ending with Binoo having a bit of fun is pretty cool, and as the final episode on the DVD, it's a pretty entertaining one. 8 out of 10. So what are my final thoughts on Binoo's Birthday? Obviously, Binoo's Birthday is f***ing awesome for one thing, and for another, as a home media release, it has a very amazing mix of episodes. Some people may have other opinions on the episodes, but to me, this is the best selection. A healthy mix of pretty good episodes to pretty decent ones. I don't think anyone could have asked for a pretty awesome selection of episodes to enjoy. While some may have different opinions on these episodes, I think this is a pretty good example of a good DVD gone right. So, in conclusion, Binoo's Birthday is a pretty rockin' party that I'm sure everyone who are fans of the show will want to watch over and over again. This is definitely one release that you must have in your collection if you are looking for some of your favorite episodes on a compilation release. That does it for this review. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And feel free to check out more of my other reviews that is in the playlist that I've linked in the description. What is my next review gonna be? Well, we're finishing out with one final birthday DVD before we get to the Easter special, so I'm going to be taking a look at the very unique Nickelodeon release that is a bash that will be bashed big time. Bye for now.